Well, apparently I had issues starting the stream, so wonderful. Some technical difficulties here. Oh, so sorry about that, guys. I had some technical difficulties. Maybe 30 minutes of my stream got cut off, but we'll, you can catch the beginning part when I, you know, post a video to YouTube. Alright, so apparently I didn't know, because I've been a Twitch streamer, I have to actually hit the go live button on YouTube. So it was streaming into the into the Nether realm. But you catch a lot more of the flight now. So we're in our climb out, and because of the technical difficulties, I overshot my climb. So we're going to ascend a little bit. Back down to our altitude, fix these technical difficulties. Welcome to Virtual Flight Diaries and its first ever YouTube stream. So now that I'm up and running, everybody can enjoy the rest of the stream. Unfortunately, I probably have 20 minutes of the startup page.
Pacific 337, please expedite your descent 12,000 feet.
Yes, ATC. All right. Alright, so we're going to get back down to our altitude. I climbed to 15,000 feet to fix those technical problems. But we're on course. Engines are running good. ATC should stop screaming at us. And get back to the stream. What was I saying? So,
Pacific 337, contact Winnipeg Center on 132.25. Good
what
day.
was I talking about?
Going to 132.25 Pacific 337. Winnipeg Center Pacific 337 is at 14,000 feet, descending 12,000 feet.
Pacific 337, Winnipeg Center altimeter 29.95 radar. Contact continue to depth me.
Alright, let me just get our bearings here. Yeah, guys, I'm a streamer. Okay, so you missed my dedication to, I dedicated this stream to my friends from, Winnipeg. You missed that part. So, in Apollo 13 fashion, Tom Hanks, hopefully that's our glitch for the mission. So we have our autopilot set, we're descending on autopilot. We get down to cruise, and we're going to then tell we're going to call for cruise, and they're going to run they'll set cruise power. I'm all discombobulated here. Nope, I want to climb. Don't want to climb very fast. So I'm going to turn the autopilot on to hold this altitude. Altitude hold. Should settle in 12,000. Once we're settled in, this is why I took on an extra 1,000 pounds of fuel.
Setting cruise power, please. Setting cruise power.
And the engine's powering back. Our fuel flow should come back to
Cruise power is set.
Where's our fuel flow? There we go. Should settle in about between 600 and 700. That's what it's looking like. So we're going to be burning about 700 pounds. Oh, there we go.
Cruise checks are complete.
Come on, flight engineer. Let's get us in a cruise. Yep. 2,300 RPMs. 35 on the manifold. And 600 pounds of fuel per engine per hour. So we're going to burn a total of a little over a ton per hour fuel. Okay, so past our Depney waypoint, heading to Musk, which is just outside of Erickson. We've settled in nicely into the cruise. See what our speed across the ground is. 233 knots, and six minutes to Musk. Okay. So it's not going to give us a total time. Maybe it will on the flight plan. Nope. Instead it's 219 miles to our initial approach phase. So I want to be down to 20 nautical miles by Dunham. Or I want to be not 20 nautical miles at Dunham. I want to be Dunham's 20 nautical miles out to our approach. So I want to be at 4,000 feet at Dunham. So I'll explain that a little bit later. So get our modern tablet out of the way. So the nice views of Canada from our window. Yeah, the weather is actually very nice. Alright, so let's see. I'm going to look up some things for had some things set up for DC-6. So the DC-6 was built in was manufactured by the Douglas Aircraft Company, same guys that did DC-3. That's what DC stands for. So it was built, it was starting to be designed during World War II as a transport aircraft for the military. It first flew in '46, so it didn't quite make the war, and went into service in 1947 with American Airlines and United Airlines. The military designation for it was the C-118 Liftmaster in the United States Air Force, and the R-6D for the Navy, and remained in military service until 1962. It also has a distinction, I believe, that Eisenhower had won as the first Air Force One. It was developed from the DC-4, which did see time in World War II, as the C-54. But so after the war, Lockheed Martin had come up with its L-1049 was. Cruise news. So Lockheed Martin had come up with this 1049, and Douglas decided to take all these DC-6s that it was coming out with, and that was Douglas's answer to Lockheed, was the DC-6. It was developed from like I said, the DC-4, and which was made famous with the John Wayne movie called High and the Mighty. Great film. Anyway, DC-6, yes. So it could carry up to 40 passengers originally. Later variants, the DC-6B, which is what we're flying now, so you know, carry up to 89 passengers in certain configurations. We are configured for 68 because we have a first class, because we're styling. Also, the DC-6B had 2,500 horsepower engines compared to the 2,400 of the previous versions. At a max range of, at full fuel, of 4,100 nautical miles. Just to get that in perspective, JFK to London is, I believe, 27 or between 27 and 2,900 nautical miles, so it could easily get across the pond, and was used for international service. The cruise at 315 miles per hour. And was equipped with water injection. And since the first part of my stream did not go off, I'm going to explain water injection real quick. So water injection was, these water pumps were used. You could turn them on, and they would spray water into the cylinder, which then increased the pressure inside the cylinder, so the engines could work harder. And it also offered, so since the engines were working harder, they were heating up. So the water also offered a cooling solution for the cylinders. So with that, we could get more power. We could go beyond this red line and go to up to 59 on the manifold pressure. Cabin, what does the cabin look like? I can't get to the cabin from here, but I can get it from the outside, so my drone wasn't set up. So I have to use drone mode. drone catches up to the plane. Oh man, I wonder how long this is going to take. How about that? Duh. So, this is the cabin view. It slows down here. So the plane, I'm bobbing around because the plane's actually bouncing in the air. So, I don't use the drone very much, so I gotta orient myself with controls. So it was a 2x2 configuration. And here's our first class. So the 89 passenger version would have this bulkhead shortened and more seats put in to make that 89. All our bags are loaded up. And this is the flight attendant station back there. Cook our meals, make our coffee. So that's the cabin. You had leg room, you had luxury, your food was served to you on china, and there was a little stove on board, a little electric stove. It was electric. They actually cooked the food. It was a much luxurious time to fly. More comfortable than being packed in like sardines. So I said they were flying today. So the most used are an airline called Everett's, and they're stationed in Alaska. They're a charter airline, but they also do cargo, and they use the DC-6A's A model for cargo. Still flying today. Their hub is out of Fairbanks. And Everett's, I do believe, they do operate charter service into Canada as well. Eat snakes on the plane, yeah. We only need Samuel Jackson on board as well. Okay, so let's see. 49 minutes to our... So we only need about... So I was going to say, so we don't have the fancy vertical navigation that a jet does. So we got to do some math. And the formula is cruise altitude, 12,000 feet, subtracted by our destination altitude, or the altitude we want to, our target altitude, say. So 12,000 feet to 4,000 feet, we subtract that, we get 8,000 feet. We multiply that by 3. That gives us 24,000 feet. And then we're going to divide that by 1,000. Which then gives us, then we drop the 0. So that gives us 24 nautical miles to descend at 1,000 feet per minute to reach our target altitude of 4,000 feet at Dunham. So we need to be 24 nautical miles out. So we're going to go, I'm going to round that up to 30 just to give us a little extra. So 30 miles from Dunham. So look at our flight plan. Dunham. So we need to do some more math here. So Dunham's 31 miles past NP. So I can make it easy. I can go direct Dunham, and then we can get our why don't we do that? But anyway, we'd have to add 31.4 to 181 to get the total, and then subtract that, and subtract 24. I think no. Oh, math, all the maths. So 180. I'm gonna need my pen and paper here. So it's 212 miles to Dunham. What do I do with that 24? You know what? I'm going to make life easy. I'm going to make life easy for ourselves, guys. We're going to go direct Dunham. So 30 miles from Dunham, we're gonna go down. And that should get us about a few nautical miles before Dunham, actually. Plus or minus. We want that space. We want to get down and stop descending and get down to a level altitude and give ourselves enough space to slow down. Because this plane takes probably close to 15 nautical miles to get from our cruise speed down to our approach speed of 140. So it takes some planning. And I just made my life easy by going direct to Dunham. We would have asked ATC to amend the flight plan to go direct Dunham, blah blah blah. They probably would have given it to us. So here we are. If you heard on the ATC, Pacific 337 is our call sign. It's actually the call sign for Pacific Western was Pacific Western, but Microsoft Flight Simulator doesn't like double words for some reason. It gets weird. I didn't want it to get weird.
Pacific 337, contact Winnipeg Center on 132.9er. Good day.
Okay, so
Going to 132.9er Pacific 337. Winnipeg Center Pacific 337, 12,000 feet.
Pacific 337, Winnipeg Center altimeter
So,
30.0.
I had said
Contact continue.
Eisenhower, but it was actually Harry Truman that instituted the first Air Force One. It was Harry Truman's personal aircraft, and he used it until 1953. It was called the Independence, or VC-118. And it's on display if you guys want to go see it at the National Naval Aviation Museum. There's a couple. So there's a company out there, or a group called the Flying Bulls. They're out of Austria, and they're flying. So let's review some DC-6s still in operation. So we got the Flying Bulls out of Austria, and that was actually the plane they're using was the private luxury transport of the Yugoslavian president Josip Broz Tito. There's one on display at Coventry Airport in Baggington in the UK. And like I said, Everett's is flying a whole bunch. And the Republic of China had one. It's been retired since 1978. So that was the presidential transport in the 70s for the Chinese president. And that plane was named Chongmei. So in my cruise talk fashion, we talk about some instances with the plane, some crashes. So there's a list of crashes for for the DC-6. Has that? I'm not sure. Probably Taylor Swift. Actually, probably guarantee it's Taylor Swift. She's, you know, world traveler, flying in from Tokyo just for the Super Bowl. So the first crash of the DC-6 was a United Airlines flight in 1947, and it crashed near Bryce Canyon, Utah, while attempting an emergency landing after an in-flight fire broke out in its engines. Let's see, in the 50s. We're just looking at the these crashes. I don't think anyone has survived any of these crashes. That's horrible. In August 20, here's an interesting one. In August 23rd, in 1954, KLM Flight 608, KLM is a Dutch plane, crashed into the North Sea, off, 37 miles off the coast, Dutch coast, killing everybody on board, but the cause was not quite determined. They weren't sure. It might have had a cockpit window failure, because, you know, the pressurized, plane, an autopilot failure, or an in-flight explosion. They also said that overheating electrical systems were a suspect in that one. Oh, here's one with survivors. Okay, that's cool. I want to do a shout out to some survivors. Linea Aerea Italiana Flight 451 crashed at Idlewild Airport, which is now JFK, due to a pilot error as he was tired. Killed 26 of the 32 on board. They didn't have, I guess, crew rest standards. Yeah, I guess it does make good business sense, right? No one can sue. Let me see. Most more recent ones. These are all in the 60s. So 1996 Northern Air Cargo flight crashed, attempting an emergency landing at a Russian mission. The emergency landing was due to a number 3 engine catching fire. Speaking of which, let's look at our engine temps, just to make sure we're all still good. Okay, because our engines, I believe, can catch fire. Okay. No, I only have a virtual co-pilot, and he's lazy. He just does checklists. I have my virtual, they're all invisible. I have my virtual flight engineer managing our engines for me, and he's doing a good job. Let's check our time. 40 minutes to reach our start of our approach. Okay, so probably a half hour left to our descent. Altitude's good. All our engine instruments are good. We are humming along. So a cause of that northern air cargo crash was also due to fatigue. Not pilot fatigue, but a fatigue failure in the engine. And then the pilot's error on board was the pilots did an improper procedures regarding to the emergency. Wow. So the last reference crash was Everett's Air, Flight 25, and that struck a berm on landing at Candle 2 Airport in Alaska. The right landing gear was torn from the plane, which then veered right off the runway and suffered substantial damage, but no injuries. Have a good day, rest of your day at work, as Dev. And I noticed going through all these that just a quick glance of all these crashes, there was not a single incident with any Canadian airline. So, way to go, Canada. You did not crash any, you didn't crash any DC-6s. Kudos. So that's another one. Canada's good for poutine and not crashing DC-6s. Better call the attendant. Because the captain needs a coffee. This was very restful, waiting for my crew to get this plane going. Not restful, stressful. I wonder, guys, if we can get a little more airspeed out of this. So I'm gonna disconnect our crews. We have plenty of fuel on board. Let's bump up the power. put our fuel. We didn't get too much fuel flow. It's another 100 pounds an hour, but we're going to be descending soon. But I want to see if we can get there a little quicker. So one thing you got to remember is your throttle position when you disconnect the auto flight engineer, because he's managed the controls for now, and when I shut him off, it set the throttles to where I had my throttles set, my controls. So if you're flying this plane and you want to manually manipulate the power controls, you're going to want to preset the throttle close to where the artificial flight engineer had him set, or you'll get just that. You'll get an instant drop in power. I mean, it didn't affect anything, but what it did do was gain us an extra 12 knots of speed. So what happens if you push it too hard? If I push this too hard, I can blow the engines. And then we would be dealing with a probably us going down. And so let's see. If I blew the engines, so the nearest airport is CYWG-CYXE, and I'll just look real quick to see if CYWG-CYXE could handle us. So that's Yorkton. And Yorkton could not, I mean, in an emergency, we'd most likely not make the runway. So Yorkton only has, its longest runway is 4,800 feet, and you want 5,000 at least for this plane. But if I blew the engines, we would definitely need to get to Yorkton in a glide. I mean, this thing is, you know, let's look real quick how much we weigh. Our fancy tablet. So we currently weigh 82,000 pounds, so this thing's going to come down like a rock. So Yorkton would be our only option now. And hopefully, I mean, I could lighten us up on our way to Yorkton. That's what these panels are here. Pull these levers, I start dumping fuel. Yeah, but it wouldn't be a good situation if I ran the engines too hard. Attention to detail. Thanks. Smash that like button if you like my attention to detail. I tried to study up on the systems before the stream. I also, so I haven't flown this since it came out. I flew it the summer of 2021, and it's been sitting kind of mothballed in my hangar for a good long time, and I forgot how much fun this plane is. So PMDG, the makers of this plane, they modeled this so well that they needed to put on a 20 video ground school tutorial on this plane, and I also took the time to watch all those videos too to refresh myself on all the systems and how to operate things. But I probably only have 60 hours of flight time on this plane. So I went back to ground school and I learned all the systems so I could do this lovely stream for you guys. I had so much fun doing the DC-3 videos that I wanted to do this one, so I had this one in the sim. Back to our nav page. So yeah, I mean, I really bumped up our speed. And we're not really drinking that much fuel either. But I do want to make sure our temps are good, because like we just had that discussion, I don't want to push these engines. Like I said, radial engines are very finicky. So our oil temp is good. Oil temp is good. Our where's our cylinder head temp? That's what I really want to look at. Okay, so our cylinder head temp's a little high, so I'm gonna command us back to
Set cruise power, please. Set
cruise power. That's how you blow a fucking whoa, pardon my French, that's how you blow a cylinder. Yes, not for kids
Cruise power is
channel. We're okay. You're allowed to curse on YouTube. Yeah, see now,
complete.
brought those cylinder head temps back. So yeah, as much as I wanted to have our lovely speed up at 250 knots across the ground, we were also pushing to blow a cylinder, so which would have caused a fire and would have seized up an engine, and we would have been no longer discussing cruise. We would have been discussing how to get to Yorkton and how I'm going to land at less than 5,000 feet. Although it probably would have made for interesting streaming content. Just me making X. Just me. I threw the rest out. Yeah, it's how many parachutes were left. And, just me. I'm the captain. Oh, but you're supposed to go down with your ship. Right. Absolutely. As I build a little cabin outside of Yorkton. No, it was the honorable thing. But, in all truthfulness, parachutes, there were no parachutes on board. In reality. Life raft, no parachutes. Maybe we could do the Indiana Jones trick of Temple of Doom and jump out as we're blowing up the life raft and float down. because Temple of Doom was so real. Yeah, the crash report would read, 68 passengers plus crew, except captain's body was never found. Witnesses say life raft was floating away from the plane.
Pacific Tree 7, contact Winnipeg Center on 124.3. Good day.
124.3 Pacific Tree 7. Goodbye. Winnipeg Center Pacific Tree 7, 12,000 feet.
Pacific Tree 7, Winnipeg Center altimeter 30.11 radar contact. Continue to Penpy.
Oh, we're not going to Penpy. Going direct up. Alright, so maybe 15 more minutes till we have to start our descent. Engines are good. Let's look at that cylinder head temp. And we're back in the green. So Yorkton will have to be for another day. One thing about these bygone eras is if you were a smoker, you could enjoy your cigarettes on the plane. Smoking was common, including the cockpit, except for certain phases of flight. And the flight attendants would even light your cigarette or cigar for you. Didn't even need a make an SS smooth sailing from here. Yes, definitely smooth sailing from here. Knock on wood. Let me find some wood. Apparently there's no wood. No, everybody was allowed to smoke. There was no smoking section. So you didn't have to worry about buying a smoking section ticket. And you were allowed to smoke on planes all the way up into the 90s. You notice even some older airplanes, like a 757, you fly on them, you'll see ashtrays still in the armrests. Make an X, you never knew that? Well, we learned something. We learned something today. All our fuel looks good. We're not imbalanced. That could be bad too. This plane likes to be balanced. So if you watch my DC-3 videos, just like the DC-3, these radial engines don't like to be at idle. So we actually keep our power on almost to when the mains touch. The main wheels touch the runway. So it's a lot of energy management through the descent, through the approach, just managing the forward energy of this plane. And at 80,000 pounds, there's a lot of forward energy. A lot of farmlands in Canada. Is there wheat fields? I guess Canada has big wheat production. Take a look back here. Okay, so not much back here. It was actually kind of cramped. It's our door to the cabin. It doesn't work. Oh, I keep, we keep our manuals back here, and these are, it's like a radar. Guess we could get a weather radar. The ignition initializer. I'm not sure what that is. This would be kind of power supply. Oh, this would be the power supply for maybe the radio system? This would be a radio altimeter. For power junctions. That's for oxygen. Turn on the oxygen supply for the flight engineer. Make an X. You thought that was a microwave for a moment? Nah. Could have been. Gotta heat up our hot pockets. Well, we're in Canada, so our leftover Croft dinner. Got about 30 more miles to our descent, and about 6 minutes, and things get real interesting. Not really. long as you keep it set up, stay ahead of the plane. Probably rather boring. So here's a note. So what this is a document store. So the ramp agent, our document store is behind the modern tablet here. So the ramp agent or the fueling agent would have the fuel slip saying the exact amount of fuel he put on board, and he would it was too high to hand up through the open window, so he would hand it up through the document store. That's what that is. So this had propellers. Interesting, because I said this was a mechanical computer, and so there's 4 throttle levers, but only 1 propeller lever. So you could command the RPM of the propeller for all 4 engines with this one handle, or utilizing these switches, you could decrease and increase prop RPM for each individual engine. You would tell the mechanical computer to engage or disengage the gears that are inside to differentiate between all the engines or just one engine at a time. This was a lock. You could lock the throttles so that they wouldn't creep out of, because this thing's all vibrating. So you wouldn't want them to creep out of the power setting that you had. Make an X. Do all older planes have those? What, the mechanical computers? The mechanical computers started to be instituted during World War II. I believe the B-17 bomber had one. The bay so make an X. What about the bay to hand in the fuel slip? So the document store. No, not all of them had one. Even some modern aircraft actually have them. It all depends on the makeup of the plane and whether or not the they could reach through the window or easier access, get inside the cabin to hand in the fuel slip. Modern day planes like the 737 and 787 don't have document stores on them. All of the information is transmitted through a computer ACAR system, and it just displays on a screen. It's funny, I go to where the ACAR system is on the 737 and the A320 because I've been flying a lot of them lately. And if they would hand a fuel slip, the but they would need to hand a paper fuel slip or load slip to crew on a 737. They would just come up on the jetway and come into the cockpit. But if you notice, there was a you go outside for a second, so there was no door to come up here into the crew cabin. A lot of planes had a hatch with a ladder to climb into. The DC-3 had that. The passengers filed in through the back, and but the crew door was on this side. So I guess it was just more convenient after he was done refueling. He would refuel on this side. He would refuel on this side. Instead of just walking all the way around and climbing that huge ladder, he would just hand it through the door. These engines had superchargers on them. So these are the air intakes for the superchargers. And what it would do is would compress the air-fuel mixture so that we could climb up to higher altitudes. Is that, Trevor, is that arcade mode? What, the exterior view? You really don't have an arcade mode. Although I've heard of a lot of simmers flying from this view. I don't think I could possibly do it. That's our fancy outside view. Because, you know, sim stuff. One way to find out, maybe I'll do a video of me trying to land the plane from the exterior view. I'm not gonna try this behemoth. I would guarantee a crash. Though that might make fans happy if I crashed. Okay, so we can start setting up for our descent. I'm going to command the descent power.
Winnipeg Center Pacific 337, 12,000 feet.
Pacific 337 Winnipeg Center altimeter 30.13 radar contact. Continue to Juno.
Descent checkpoint, please. Altimeters and flight instruments.
Winnipeg Center Pacific 337.
Seatbelt signs
Request 4,000 feet.
on.
Pacific 337 descend and maintain 4,000 feet.
DC-6B.
Descend and maintain 4,000 feet Pacific 337.
So, command
Pacific 337 contact
our
Winnipeg Center on 133.1. Good day.
flight engineer to set descent power.
Going to 133.1 Pacific 337. Winnipeg Center Pacific 337 is passing 12,000 feet, descending
We're going to
4,000
try
feet.
to
Pacific
maintain
337
1,000
Winnipeg
foot
Center
descent.
altimeter 30.13 radar contact. Continue to Dunham.
That should put us down. I'd rather be below 100% or below 1,000. I mean above 1,000 if I had to, rather than below. I am doing, since the first quarter of my stream wasn't on, I am going to attempt a RNAV approach, which is using the GPS system. I'm not sure if it's modeled, but we're gonna see. So the big thing we want to check is we want to make sure that our cylinder head temperatures aren't getting shock cooled and icing up. And if they were icing up, we would have to put on some carb heat to heat those carburetors up. Because if a carburetor ices up, we no longer have that engine. It'll shut down. And of course there is a checklist, but I don't think we can get it started back up again. But 3 engines now. Now we're gonna make Saskatoon. The only thing is, if we lost 2 engines, we wouldn't make it. So the automatic flight engineer has set our power to 90. So this gauge right here, I didn't explain this gauge right here. Make an X, so it has a total of 4 engines? Yes. Here are 4 engines, and a lot of planes that were designed from now on into the 90s. For any kind of long-range flight was a 4-engine plane, including the jets. The 707, DC-8, 747, they're all 4 engines. There was a belief that, maybe not so much a belief, but a reality in the fact that if you were flying to, say, New York to London, but if you lost an engine, you needed the other redundancy to make it to the airport. Modern technology now, like the 777 or the 787, has ETOPS, which means ETOPS operation is the plane always keeps a certain distance that it can make it to an airport, even crossing the ocean, even crossing the Pacific. That they could make it to an airport on 1 engine. So there was no need for 4 anymore. 4 just was not fuel efficient, so all those modern planes now have just 2 engines. So there's no altitude capture like in a modern plane, so I gotta make sure I watch so I don't blow through my 4,000 foot mark. Temperatures are good. 6,000. Adjust our barrel ref. I was showing lower than I was. So if we were actually watching our throttles here, you'd see them move slowly. As we descend into the thicker air, our manifold pressure has a tendency to want to come up. So the automatic flight engineer is creeping that down.
Pacific 337, you are tree 2 miles southeast. Climb and maintain 12,000 feet. Keep speed not above 210 knots. Expect RNAV Zulu runway 27 approach via PMDG transition. Cleared to PMDG.
Climb and maintain 12,000 feet. Keep speed not above 210 knots. Expect RNAV Zulu runway 27 approach via PMDG transition. Cleared to PMDG Pacific 337.
We're cleared to PMDG, so we're gonna all that, and I blew through my altitude anyway.
Pacific 337, please expedite your climb 12,000 feet.
Oh, we're not going at 12,000. We'd never make it back. Well, this is certainly going to help us slow down. Close enough for government work.
Pacific 337, contact Saskatoon approach on 119.9. Good day.
119.9 Pacific 337. Goodbye. Saskatoon approach Pacific 337 is at 4,000 feet climbing 12,000 feet.
Pacific 337, Saskatoon approach altimeter 30.14 radar contact. Continue to PMDG.
So we're trying to slowly bring our speed down to 140. And like I said, this thing's a freight train. So now we can actually add a notch of flaps, but I'm gonna keep us up. Actually, I'm not. So I'm gonna
Pacific 337, please expedite your climb 12,000 feet.
did it again.
Turbine. Normal. Fuel booster pumps.
So I commanded in range, so it's gonna.
Pacific 337 climb and maintain 4,000 feet.
Fuel tank selectors.
Climb and maintain 4,000 feet Pacific
Hydraulic
337.
bypass valve. Down. No smoking signs. On. In-range checks complete.
Pacific 337 keep speed not above 190 knots.
Keep speed not above 190 knots Pacific 337.
Flaps keybind isn't working. Okay, so let's see here. Coming up to our initial approach fix. Get our altitude settled in. So this lever right here is actually, this plane had a reverser, you know, like the modern jets. This plane could put its propellers in reverse, and we'll be using that on landing. So you would slam that lever, or pull that lever down, and then you could pull the throttles back, which then would put the pitch into reverse. Trevor, is that the altitude indicator in the middle there? Right here? Yes. We're at 4,000 feet.
Pacific 337, you are 11 miles east of Saskatoon. Contact Saskatoon Tower on 118.3 when inbound.
Tower on 118.3 Pacific 337. Saskatoon Tower Pacific 337 11 miles east inbound RNAV Zulu runway 27 approach.
Airport's over here somewhere.
Pacific 337 Saskatoon Tower. Altimeter 30.09 or wind 350 at 10. Cleared RNAV Zulu runway 27 approach.
Cleared RNAV Zulu runway 27 approach Pacific 337.
We're going to find out if this will do a coupled autopilot RNAV approach. My money's on no.
Flaps 20. Setting flaps 20. Flaps set. Mixtures rich, please. Auto rich. Mixtures set. Gear up and down, please. Gear up and down.
Gear down.
Gear down and locked. 3 greens. Rumps. 2400 RPM. 2400 RPM set. Cal flaps. Plus 3 degrees. Cal flaps set. ADI. ADI off. ADI is off. Landing lights. Speed good, extending lights. Lights extended and on. RV. Car beat cold, set cold. Before landing checks complete.
Yeah, definitely gonna say no. Runways in sight.
Pacific Tree 37, wind 350 at 10. Cleared to land runway 27.
Cleared to land runway 27 Pacific Tree 37.
Alright, switching autopilot off. A little low, correcting. The bell was me disconnecting the autopilot. And down we are. Reverse. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Saskatoon, Canada.
Pacific Tree 37, exit runway when able.
A little bit of a hard landing. But I had a failure of my keybind for flaps, so couldn't manage them from my controls. So we were a little unstable, but
Exit runway when able.
did not crash. So any landing you could walk away from, they say, is good. Alright, flaps could come up.
Pacific Tree 7 contact ground on 121.9er.
Going to 121.9er Pacific, Tree 7.
Clear the runway. Clean the plane up.
After landing checks complete.
Making X said that was a great flight. Thank you. Thank you very much. We aim to please. Apparently Saskatoon is a very large airport. It's my first time here. I was going to do Edmonton, but we'd have been streaming all night. So I picked Saskatoon as a closer one. So I'm going to park it up here, and then I'm going to go look at the replay of our landing, see what I did wrong. What I liked about this plane is, as opposed to the DC-3, is that it's not a tail dragger and can handle the crosswinds very well. Because we had a crosswind coming across about 10 miles an hour. Turn in. Let's go park over here. Alright, so what normally we would do is, you know, shut down the engines, run the parking checklist. But that, I believe, messes up the replay. So I'd have to turn everything back on the replay. So we're gonna check out our landing. Speed this up a little bit. See, I came in a little low, started correcting. Added power. What I could have done is brought up the flaps, 50-degree barn doors out the back, and a lot of drag. So it made us too slow. I perfectly stabilized the landing at about 200 feet off the ground. Probably could have done a go around. Like I said, flaps wouldn't have been able to come up fast enough. So I went with it. See that again. That's a cool picture. Oh yeah, compress the shocks. It's not a greaser. Well, I thank everyone for watching, sticking with me through the stream. Great, yes, that's going to be my new wallpaper, Naked X. The inaugural YouTube stream had some hiccups in the beginning, but we got it down, and we can only go up from here. So, if you like these videos and want to see more of them, please like and subscribe. And clear skies and smooth landings. Thank you. Leave you with our landing here.